Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Minister for Federal Education and Professional Training, Mr. Shafqat Mahmood, Chairman Higher Education Commission, Mr. Tariq Banoori, British Deputy High Commissioner in Karachi, Director Education of the British Council, diplomats and members of the academia, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It gives me immense pleasure to address this virtual conference organized by the Higher Education Commission and on the second anniversary of the Pak UK Education Gateway. I am on the topic of rethinking and reshaping a resilient higher education system. I have been aware and I have experienced the interest of the United Kingdom in education. I have actively participated in a program which was ended a couple of years ago, which was called Alif Elan. And in my constituency, we had great cooperation and we were able to include a big spectrum of children into the program, which was Alif Elan, a wonderful program. I believe Pakistan and the world is facing a second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. But let me tell you that my fascination regarding the ability of to rethink and reshape a resilient higher education system goes back as long as the year 2006, when I spoke in Shenzhen on the possibility of actual less movement of individuals to higher education centers of learning, but the ability with improving technology, and that was 14 years ago, with the ability with improving technology to exchange the knowledge base between different countries of the world. It has been expensive. It was expensive to send students out. Of course, a big quantum of money is required for scholarships to make it easy for people to get higher learning and then come back. What COVID has done, COVID has dragged institutions. COVID has dragged countries into adopting these new highways which existed, but the adoption phenomenon was a little sluggish and it was slow. And I believe had COVID not happened, Pakistan too would have been much slower in adopting this system. Now, what is knowledge? In the early years, always, knowledge was enshrined and brought down to books, and the teachers, when they interacted with students, they opened that gateway for the students to learn from the books. And the interaction between the teacher and the student was one that the teacher guided which doors have to be opened and how they have to be opened, and in case of difficulties to guide the student in the learning process. That has been a traditional system of brick and mortar, a factory of education where the students went into the system and came out after 12 years or 13 or 14 years having educated themselves. Today, with distance learning, the possibility of distance learning, and Pakistan established the Allama Iqbal Open University on the pattern of the British University, as well British Open University, as well as a virtual university in Islamabad. Today, what is happening is the possibility that all knowledge, instead of on books, which have to be printed and sent out and become static at the time of printing, this knowledge in the cloud is not static, is dynamic, and we need to give access to our students to this knowledge. That is the hybrid system, of course, and that is where the faster we move, the easier it will become for people in Pakistan. The issue of people in Pakistan and people the rest of the world over is very different. We have to make education less expensive. We have to make education less elitist, because higher education has suffered elitism throughout the world. We have to make it less elitist. And the universities in Pakistan which are providing virtual education or open learning are much cheaper. For example, if you were to look in rupees, a private sector university for a bachelor's program can cost about 15 or 16 lakhs, and a public sector university may cost 6 or 8 lakhs, and a virtual learning university can cost about 1/4 of that cost. So that is something which Pakistan needs desperately to get into. The problems which we may face are the facts of, for example, the bandwidth which was mentioned. And I must congratulate also the Higher Education Council in the leadership of Mr. Tariq Banoori, and of course the guidance provided by Mr. Shafqat Mahmood, that we are quickly transitioning into an era where brick and mortar universities along with hybrid education or hybrid learning is going to change a lot. What happens in Pakistan, for example, on another context? We talked about women empowerment and women education. We also talk about the fact that a lot of people, after doing their intermediate or a 12-year education course, cannot afford to have education and they go into employment. This hybrid education possibility opens up the possibilities of the person doing a day job or a job, but at the same time to be able to learn. Now the problems in this hybrid learning and the problems after COVID, this was the era of pre-COVID is very different, but we, Pakistan, headed that direction, and I was talking about it since a long time. But the issue here then becomes that the good thing about the situation is that the Higher Education Commission has come up with the policy on distance learning, and I think that policy is going to be very important. The access of the student with increasing bandwidth, with the fact that they should have devices, the fact that 4G is going to yield to 5G, but in Pakistan even 4G is not being fully utilized. But that is something which I have heard about all through the last about 12 months or 9 or 10 months. Even when I went to Gilgit-Baltistan and we went into the hybrid education, the universities and the students were having a problem with bandwidth, and therefore other measures needed to be taken. So what hybrid learning actually does is links the student to the knowledge base, but then, like Mr. Banoori also mentioned, that because it's a new system, the teachers needed to be educated to be able to handle this kind of system. So the teachers were also learning, but again, as mentioned, during the second wave, we are smarter, we are better in handling that, and the teachers are educated in trying to handle this. Now, once we guide the students and we open the doors of knowledge, at the same time, the teacher should be available at different times to be able to address where the student is not able to overcome difficulty which he faces. But the most difficult part is the ability to examine students through a system which is a combination of a physical attendance and a virtual presence. So what can happen, what is happening, COVID would leave a footprint on the education system entirely, and that footprint would be that even in higher education physical learning centers, there will be a quantum of learning abilities and faculties and the highways which have been created because of COVID to make it easier for knowledge to be exchanged and knowledge to be given in a very professional manner, whereby we create people and we create a situation throughout the world where people can learn easily. Now, the problem in examination, of course, examination has always been necessary, because if a third party wants to employ somebody, wants to use the skills of somebody who's gone through a system, there must be a way of certification of what has been done, what are his capabilities. So therefore, that certification is definitely important even in these systems, and we will be learning on how to achieve those kind of certifications. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the cooperation which we have received from the United Kingdom through the British Council is excellent. I believe that because of the diaspora, that Pakistani diaspora in England, and when I was working with my party and every time I went abroad, people asked me what you could do, and this is, I'm talking about maybe 10, 12 years ago also, and I would tell them the world is getting smaller. This diaspora has cooperated thoroughly with Pakistan. Their hearts are in Pakistan. They want to do some contribution. The professionals have increased their communication with professional universities, whether it is medicine, engineering, or technology, in different ways, and trying to guide our universities to come forward and sharing their skills and knowledge with our universities. I think this is very important, and these are the links which we need to establish. I must appreciate the commitment of the British Council as far as education in Pakistan is concerned. I must appreciate their financial commitment, and I must appreciate the good cooperation happening between the Higher Education Commission and the Ministry of Education, and that the links and the encouragement which we can give the educated diaspora regarding this. Lord Baron Ahmed spoke just a few minutes ago. I think that cooperation has to be increased, so that we should make the flow of knowledge less copyrighted, much more free than ever before. If we want the world to make progress, it is important that knowledge should be less expensive, because there is misery, there is poverty throughout the world, and poverty can be eliminated by two major factors. One being ensuring the fact that our populations are educated, and ensuring their health. So therefore, any premium on knowledge is something which Pakistan cannot afford. Pakistan is looking for ways and means to make a non-elitist. We have, during the COVID, we were one society as compared to other areas, where we ensured the fact that our workers and our employees do not totally go out of a job, so we didn't go towards total lockdown. So Pakistan is gradually progressing and trying its best to establish a non-elitist society, a society in which we can empower our women, and the best way of the best contribution Pakistan can make through this kind of hybrid learning is to our women who can get educated, stay during times when they have to raise their family. Sometimes what happens, once they're out of the system, they stay out. But this interaction can ensure that they can continue their education during that time. If they're pregnant, they can continue their education after childbirth, etc. So this empowerment of women is going to be the mainstay of all our programs also. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you, and I must appreciate the tremendously good work which is being done by the Ministry of Education and the British Council. Thank you.